Well, thank you for that wonderful intro, Kylene. And we don't, at least we haven't in a while, talked about your background for the show, because I think it's really relevant. So,
Thanks. Actually, I'm working currently on my second master's. My first one is in secondary English education, and my second one here is creative writing here at Chico State. So I've taught creative writing at Chico State, English 220. Next week we'll have some pieces from that class, really great work. And then I'm teaching English 130 currently, and that's English composition. So it's a really interesting, awesome class. I've got great students. So I say this every semester, but anyway, so I have a little bit of background on what I'm doing. So, and here we've got a couple pieces.
Yes.
We have two, looks like we have two poems and then one prose. And if you can tell us a little bit about this prose piece.
Yes, this is a pretty fun piece, actually. This one is called My House, and it's from my great-great-grandmother. My grandfather submitted it, and her name was Cora Hasseltine Walker. She was born in Urbana, Dallas County, Missouri, 11/28/1883, so this is a pretty old piece. It was composed in November 1955 after learning she had terminal bone cancer. And she ended up passing away December 1956. So it took a toll on her, and this was before the process of it. She had just found out about this. But I'm pretty excited about this because this is like from my family, and I actually did not know this piece existed until, I guess, last week is when it was submitted. So we'll get right into it. This should be a pretty neat piece. My house. I am sole owner of a house I have lived in these 72 years. In the beginning, it was a splendid structure, large enough and on a solid foundation. It was an attractive house. I was proud of its appearance. I've never paid much attention to repairs on the outside, only to keep it fresh and healthy looking, but I've worked hard to keep the interior sweet, clean, and beautiful. No unwelcome guests, such as anger, jealousy, and unkindness, were allowed to linger long within these sacred walls, but rather to entertain such lovely ones as love, sympathy, prayer, and goodwill every day. So, it has been a real joy to dwell in this house of mine. But time is proving that all things, howsoever beautiful, must fade, and so my house is going down. The windows are not so clear. The door is kind of squeaky. The roof is near to leaking, and the foundation is getting trembly. I know that someday, not too far off, I must move out and let this old house crumble into dust. But the tenant, the spirit that dwells within, is patiently waiting and living on the food of the sweet promise of God eternal in the heavens. So I say to this old house of mine, as we have grown old together, O house, we have been long together in pleasant and in cloudy weather. 'Tis hard to part when friends are dear. I will cast a sigh and a tear. Choose thine own time. Say not good night, but in some brighter time, bid me good morning. Oh, man.
Wow, I'm trying not to cry over here. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
If that was not talking about accepting of circumstances, I do not know what is. That was really beautiful.
The tone, too. I mean,
Yeah.
this is obviously a pretty heavy issue, and I don't know how I would take it if I was confronted with this news. But I mean, there's kind of like this feeling, this undercurrent of the tones that she talks about, the love, sympathy, and prayer and goodwill. So even going into this really negative event, she kind of just leans into it. And like you said, the tone of accepting is just, man.
That first line, I am sole owner of a house I have lived in these 72 years. I don't know why I until the very halfway through, I'm like, oh my God, she's talking about herself.
Yeah.
That's her, she is the sole owner of her own body. And it was just so beautiful how, only to keep it fresh and healthy looking, but I've worked hard to keep the interior sweet, clean, and beautiful. No unwelcome guests such as anger, jealousy. It took me a while because I was like, what a cute little house.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, she's talking about herself. And then the idea that, the roof is near leaking and the foundation is getting trembly.
Yeah.
I know that someday, not too far off, I must move out and let this old house crumble into dust.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we're looking like even the poem itself in the beginning is like in the beginning, and then at the very end it's like, well, in the end, like we're looking into life, like
Right.
72 years of a life.
Yeah.
This one thing, and this is her root, this is her grounding force, and it's a farewell, really. I mean, 1955 with terminal bone cancer.
Yeah.
It's like a deep breath and kind of looking around and really recognizing that this is kind of the outcome. This is the end almost. It's such a beautiful, beautiful piece.
And it's written so eloquently. I love the voice. Again, the tone, weirdly, is still light and bright, even though it's, in reality, it's like, wow, I'm about to die. But it was an attractive house. I was proud of its appearance. I have never paid much attention to repairs on the outside. And to me, there was just this really sweet, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I felt like I understood this house, even though I don't. Like, I felt a part of it. And it's weird how she brought us into who she is. And I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I know her.
Yeah.
Even though, again, you've not even met her and she's family. So.
No, the warmth throughout it, really.
Mm-hmm.
And the part that I liked the most, that really just kind of struck me, was the last line. Say not good night, but in some brighter time, bid me good morning. It's like, even though this isn't an ending, the continuation is still there, and she's recognizing that, saying keep going, keep moving forward. And this was written for her probably as well, as much as anyone else around her, and it's just that, like, who this person is in this poem, so much so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Bid me good morning. Not bid me good night. It's like there's something even at that final line brings this bright hope, this hope. It's almost like blows my mind right now that there's that just, I don't know, there's so much in there that I don't even know how to eat it up. It's good.
Yeah. Well, as always, we say that we could talk about these for like an hour.
Right.
Each piece, an hour at least.
Well, we get to come back to it at the end, so.
We do.
Yeah.
All right, so the second piece is from Josh Danzy. He's submitted, I think, a couple pieces before.
Quite a few,
sure.
yeah.
Quite a
It's
few.
good, though. I mean, we've got great people who, submit. So if you're out there, if you'd like to submit, please do. We love getting new work. I reached out to a couple students just because I loved what they had, but I think sometimes we forget we don't know our talents. And anything that you have, if you've got lyrics to a song, let us know. Prose, poetry, anything. Yeah, flash fiction, anything you just want to celebrate. We don't know. We love getting work in here to see where your mind is at as a writer.
Yeah.
You can submit at Go ahead.
So we both took a breath in when she said that. write.onair@gmail.com.
That's WRITE.onair@gmail.com. Please submit so that we can share in your creativity.
Yes, please, because this is as much fun for us doing it as it is listening
It
to it.
really is.
Yeah. So the second piece by Josh Danzy is called Hysteria. And underneath it, he says it is a long poem about quick endings. So this should be really good. How? So bright, capricious and cautious, reckless and charged. Like there and not there. Like pretending but solid sorcery. Like some sick, terrible cure to an illness I never had before the antidote. A light blinks on. My mouth is wet with hunger. I am consumed. Yellow or blue this time? Leave it. Prose or picture? Leave it. It is nothing. It can't be real. Nothing is this real. And between these collisions, the days ahead stack, like lead weights, heavier for their brevity, but long in tooth, venomous and tremendous. As deadly as a sunrise, great and mysterious and ancient and fresh, circling past me, a beckoning. I turn without thought, as hope claps death around the waist, draws the hips in tight to start the fatal dance. I am compelled to place my feet, or feet have no purpose. I am destined to bow my head where there is no God. I am running and laughing and screaming and crying and crying and crying. Crying becomes breathing. Breath is sweet as water until I drown. Saccharine sorrow and dark beauty and all of the darn irony I can choke on. Nostalgic at morning light, sick by midday, a hollow shell by July. I lay in the gutter where fireworks belong, smile on my face, suit in my chest. Oh man.
Can you give us a quick rundown of what you read? What is this poem about?
Nope. Okay, I'm just kidding. Wow. There's a lot.
So what's the poem about? What's your overall consensus about what he's talking about here?
Well, it starts a long poem about quick endings.
What does he mean by endings?
It feels like they're questioning something that is good, and they're worried about it staying there, in a sense. So, like pretending they're there and not there. Like pretending, but solid sorcery. There's something ethereal. There's something that they want to believe in, but they can't. Maybe they can, like some sick, terrible cure. But even that term right there, like some sick, terrible cure, that entire phrase feels negative, but it's talking about a cure.
Cure for what?
Exactly. To an illness I never had before the antidote. There's a confusion here. That's what hysteria is. They're not sure. It's something that my mouth is wet with hunger. I am consumed, but he's hungry. Why is he consumed? There's this back and forth, this like total confusion going on. It is nothing. It can't be real. Nothing is real. But there's that question, like, this feels so real, and I'm diving into it. So my guess would be, like, maybe a love of some sort.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of, like, leaning towards. For me, it sounds like, and I don't know why this always is, there's those relationships you get into, and just before it starts, it ends, and I don't know why those feel the most devastating. And the word hysteria, I'm like, yep, felt that. A relationship you've only had maybe a couple months, and for some reason, I think it's because it's in the midst of that flame and that fire, or at least in your head, and you're like, I want to see where this goes, but it doesn't go anywhere. And it's almost that you have that satiable, it's an insatiable thing that doesn't get satiated, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You have this hunger for this thing, and you just can't wait to get to that point, and then it doesn't happen, and it just feels so absolutely devastating. There's this line at the very end where he's talking about crying and crying. Crying becomes breathing. Have you ever had that like cry where it's like you cry and then you
that little stuttery breath? It's
a terrible, beautiful thing. Like, it's a sickness to think that sometimes that feels really good.
Breath is sweet as water until I drown.
Right. Yeah. So that really beautiful, like, okay. And then but for some bizarre reason, it feels so good to feel so terrible.
I lay in the gutter where fireworks belong, smile on my face, suit in my chest.
Yeah.
Right there.
Really beautiful images, by the way. I love the way Josh Danzy does this quite a lot, where he uses these images where, like, for us, maybe as a whole, we kind of might not know what they all mean. When he was talking about the yellow and blue earlier in the poem, I take that as pills. Do I take the yellow one? Do I take the blue one? The beautiful, right? And the beautiful part is he uses two very contrasting colors. I'm not an artist, so I don't know the color wheel. Someone might be calling me out on it.
They are opposite.
They are opposite, right?
I believe so, yeah.
And so, which one do I take? Am I taking the bright one? Am I taking the dark one? And then I think after that, what's the pills? Oh, the prose or picture. That is really beautiful to me because, that difference between writing something or showing it through a picture, two completely different things, but kind of saying the same thing, if that means any sense at all.
Yeah, and that whole couple stanzas there, yellow or blue this time, leave it. Like, it doesn't matter. It's a question I can't worry about. Like, I can't encompass this. Prose or picture, I still can't encompass it. Leave it. It's nothing. It can't be real. Nothing is real. But between these collisions, which are real, the days ahead stack. Like, this is continuing. It's still going. Like lead weights, they're so heavy, they mean so much. Heavier for their brevity. They're so incredibly quick, but they're so incredibly dense.
Yeah, he does a great thing with contrast here where it says great and mysterious and ancient and fresh. That's really beautiful because I don't imagine anything ancient being fresh unless it's something that's I don't know. I know there's a way of it being fresh, but I don't know. I see like, and I see two different colors. I hear ancient, I think of deserty and dry, and I hear fresh, I'm thinking like bright green lettuce or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So, anyway.
Nostalgic is morning light, sick by midday, hollow shell by July. It's so quick. But man, it's so meaningful. I'm destined to bow my head, or there is no God. Man, that's an intense one. It's like leaning into a spirituality of some sort. It's like, I can't question this. Like, this feels so great. There has to be something out there. Oh my goodness.
I kind of want to ask Josh, did you take the yellow or blue one when you wrote this? Because
I think that's the point. That's the whole thing.
Yeah,
He can't. Good. The yellow or blue pill can't even encompass this.
That's cool.
They're so opposite, but they're the same, but they're not. That's what hysteria is. It becomes that like quick breath, like and you just start kind of getting that anxiety. You can't talk about it more. It's steeped in that.
That's cool. That was really good.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to read that. So I think we have one more piece, right?
We do. This is from A.E. Kellogg.
She has submitted many before.
Yes, she submitted before, and this actually is a published piece.
Yeah, she's famous now.
Yeah. It was published by Outright News magazine.
Okay.
It's very impressive. Being published is actually pretty hard. For those of you out there trying to get published, I highly suggest researching literary magazines out there. You don't know what's out there. Keep throwing it against the wall. You don't know what's going to stick. And it has obviously been proven with Miss Kellogg.
Yeah, I think she's actually her second or third published piece too.
Oh, that's right. Yes. And actually this piece is called What You Don't Know. You're not the girl of my dreams. You're the girl of my just before falling asleep, the girl of my trying thoughts on for size, the girl of my fingers resting carefully at the top of my leg, and thinking about where else I could place my hands. When I'm sucking on a spoonful of honey and pondering the way things taste, the girl when my eyes just won't close, and when my breathing can't slow, and my heart, no. But you're the girl of my shoulders shifting lonely and cold, and my cheek pushing into the pillow, and me tossing and turning and spinning artful lies for you.
Oh man. What you don't know.
What you don't know, that you are not the girl of my dreams. You're the girl of just before I fall asleep. That's really cool. The last person you think of before you fall asleep. That's a really cool person to be.
I think I have a very maybe unique, I guess everyone has a unique take on it, but I want to hear what yours is. So go ahead. If you have one.
I mean, it's just a really sweet and sultry love poem. There's this line I love, and thinking about where else I could place my hands. And what was the next one?
When I'm sucking on a spoonful of honey.
Oh, that one too. I love that. I actually, weirdly, wrote a poem called "Your Honey on My Lips" or something like that. And there's just this way when I think of honey in the mouth, it's that you can't chew it, you can't drink it. You just have to let it melt. You just have to let it be. And it's that really beautiful, I don't know how to explain honey. It is just the essence of sensuality, I think. And when I'm sucking on a spoonful of honey.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You moved the paper.
She's looking at it and I just grabbed it.
And pondering the way things taste.
Yeah.
I just thought that was such a beautiful,
So I see it and disagree or agree or have another take, but it feels like you're not the girl of my dreams. This is very internal. It's almost to herself in a sense. I'm spinning artful lies for you, keeping myself going. You're not the girl of my trying thoughts on for size. Like it's looking at herself saying, you're not who I want you to be. You're not of my dreams yet. But there's a pondering this thing going, pondering the way things taste. The girl when my eyes just won't close, she's looking at herself. And when my breathing can't slow and my heart no, but you're the girl of my shoulders shifting lonely and cold, and my cheek pushing into the pillow. That's totally looking at herself, in my opinion.
Oh, Oh, see, I try not to think of the artist as the work.
Oh, just in the piece.
Yeah, that's what
is
I'm thinking.
saying.
So in
Yeah.
my head, I always pull away, and so I imagine it being written from a man's point of view.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I tried to take it at face value exactly as it said.
Ah,
It didn't give me reason to read deeper into it, other than giving us that this is exactly how it is as I see it kind of thing. But
Oh,
I mean,
very-
that's just my take on it.
yeah.
But that's because that's how I want to take it. I
Mhm.
want to take it as somebody talking about this person who is just before falling asleep. And I'm like, I want to be that girl.
Right, right.
You know, when you're tasting honey, what do you imagine I taste like kind of thing?
Yeah.
And I just think that's really beautiful. But again, sometimes I like to read poems on a surface level rather than a deep. So what you
Right,
came
right.
through, I thought that was actually kind of a nice deep way of considering it. What in here made you assume it might be the author or the narrator? What would make you think it was the narrators talking about themselves?
No, put me on the spot now.
Well, there's always something in a poem that
Yeah,
triggers
yeah.
us to think of something. I don't know.
You're not the girl of my dreams, but you're the girl of my shoulders, shifting, lonely, and cold. To me, that's like covers, like getting into a
Okay.
bed. That's cool. And then the next line is, "And my cheek pushing into the pillow, and me tossing and turning and spinning artful lies for you." But I guess see that line. See, it goes both directions.
Yeah.
You could go outward. You could go inward. And I see like your perspective too. The girl when my eyes just won't close, like who I'm thinking about consistently. When my breathing can't slow, and I'm thinking about the good things in life, like honey and stuff like that. Like you're the one that comes into my thoughts. But are you who you are? There's that question of like looking at the other person and not really grasping them, or like maybe they're not what you want, but it's something that's still very attractive or very like worthy of depth and all sorts of stuff. So it's a very interesting, multifaceted thing.
I like that we can both have two totally different outlooks on one particular poem, and that's the real beauty about poetry.
Yeah.
What I love about what Miss Kellogg does here is she has very concrete things. It doesn't feel abstract. And I push really hard to my students, they'll attest to this. I really cannot stand abstractness when
Yeah.
it comes to poetry and writing. But here we have, we've got pillows, we've got honey, just a lot of things, a leg, hands, things I can touch, taste, feel. I'm physically there, and I don't have to think at all in regards to this poem. I don't have to go, well, she said they, this or that.
Yeah.
I see it because they give me these exact images that I know wholly what I'm looking at, and I love that.
What it feels like to me when I read it, because there are just these things, top of my leg, just my hands, an eye, a taste. It feels just like something has been shattered and left in pieces, and there's like puzzle pieces almost, not in a bad way, not like shattered
Where are
and
you
broken.
saying puzzle pieces?
So just the descriptions really.
Oh.
How there's just a leg, there's a hand, there's
Oh,
these like
gotcha.
glimpses almost
Of what the person
of
is.
what the whole is, of the entire thing, not the person, the entire perspective. There's these little snippets that are really, really intrinsically that everyone can identify with, and they're all leading you towards like one thing. Basically, they're all kind of put together. So for her, like what I see is like someone who's looking at like this wide picture, and these things that are standing out vividly is what she's drawing on, that are really make this like a spoonful of honey almost. It's very sweet in its points, very to the point, as you were saying. It's not abstract because these things are real. But man, because they're also just pieces of it, you can go in so many directions. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think this would be the part of the show. Also, thank you for submitting A.
Yes,
Kellogg. I
that was
really
great.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I really liked that. It
We
went
want
well.
more,
Yeah.
please. I will always say that.
Right.
Um,
For anybody. So
yeah, so this is the fun part where we get to kind of look at all three pieces and see where they fit or where they don't fit together, or just kind of commonalities.
yeah. To be honest, like if we're gonna say that A.E. Kellogg's is thinking of self, as it were, each piece is actually kind of a introspective, looking at themselves, but using other things to talk about that.
Right.
My house, but it's really my body. Hysteria, it's truly what my mind is going through. And what you don't know is, who I really am.
Yeah.
Again, my thought, I still feel like that's more of a talking about another person, but I can't now. I don't
think
know.
that still even fits.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because even if it's talking about someone else, there's like it's looking at an aspect of a person
Oh yeah.
of like almost like an analytical type of thing. Like the first one is saying there's an inner thing that's going on.
The
Obviously.
physical body itself.
The physical body, and there's the discussion there. This one, Josh's poem, Hysteria, seems to be like there's an outside force or something that's not accepted or something that's challenging his own, I guess, perceptions and his own trust, I suppose.
Uh-huh.
And then this last one could be from someone else or could be from the same person. That's what it is. Well, you don't know. What I can't figure out, but it's about a person for sure. About a girl. Yeah, it's about a person for sure.
I mean, they're all about people. Even the house is about a person.
Right,
so.
right.
I can't get over how much I really love my house. Not my personal house, obviously the poem.
Yeah.
I think it's a small prose. We've mentioned the word meditation. I don't know if that's necessarily a thing, but I really like the way it does a great job of talking about trying to figure out who they are and acceptance. I don't know, there could be an acceptance in either one of these, accepting the hysteria and what it's like to go crazy and have those moments of
to question.
Yeah, absolute questioning.
That's one theme too also. So the first one, my house, there isn't a question there. It's this is it. There's the acceptance. For Josh's, there is some questioning there. There's like a disbelief. And what you don't know is a piece that is just confused almost. It's like, wow, I can't figure this out. Like I'm pondering these things, pondering the way things taste. The girl, when my eyes just won't close, what I'm thinking about, there's almost just like a picture there and they're just kind of looking at it, figuring out what it is, what it means, tossing and turning and spinning artful lies for you. Like, I don't know what's going on here. There's even that theme there. There's like acceptance, confusion, and then just a pondering, almost like a meditation too, you could say.
Almost a knowing.
A knowing, almost, yes.
I know you are the girl just before falling asleep.
Yes. Oh, I didn't even realize that. That's the twist there. How did I miss that? How could I be so blind? Yeah, exactly. So there's almost that. There's one that encompasses just a total acceptance, confusion, and then a knowing, in a sense, which almost seems like the transition of, I don't want to say like grief, but it seems like a normal emotional thought line almost. Kind of accepting it and then maybe questioning it again and kind of maybe challenging your acceptance and then just kind of coming back to the closing. It's almost like a circle in a sense. Yeah. I could be totally wrong. If I am, please call in.
All of a sudden the phones start lighting up.
I won't answer them actually right now.
No, but that was really cool. These are definitely, I love how each piece is so completely different, but we can, there's always something that, it's because I think it's the being human and having either human emotions, human effects, that kind of thing. So,
yeah. Well, we wanted to plug one last time, I guess, how you can submit.
Yes.
And our show airs every other Wednesday, 7:30. And if you want to submit, which we encourage you to do, or you want to call in or talk to us at any point, please email us at write.onair@gmail.com. That is
WRITE.onair@gmail.com. We would love to hear what you've got to share with us. So please submit. And we'd also like, if you want to come join us here in the studio, we can always do that too. So you're welcome to be a part of this amazing show.
That is an option. So have a good night, everyone.
All right, good night.